All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Abawumi. Thank you for joining. It's good to have you here. So, in our last class, can you remind us, Abawumi, what we talked about in our last class? If you can't unmute your mic, you can just drop a message in the chat box. Abawumi, can you remind us what we talked about in our last class? You can just drop a message in the chat box if you're unable to unmute your mic where you are. Abawumi, are you there?
We talk about evolution.
About what?
Evolution.
No. What we talked about on Thursday, this Thursday, our last class. Abawumi, are you there? Hello? Hello, Abawumi, are you there? Abawumi, can you hear me? Are you having network difficulty? If you're having network difficulty, okay. Okay. In our last class, we talked about respiratory system. That was what we talked about. We talked about respiratory system in higher organisms and in lower organisms. We specifically talked about the respiratory system in human beings. We talked about the respiratory system in toads. We talked about respiratory system in insects. About me, do you remember now? Because I think you're confusing our last topic with last week's topic. So about me, can you tell us what you remember from our last class on respiratory system? Any, or do you have questions? Do you have questions from our last class on respiratory system? Do you have questions?
No, ma.
Okay, all right. So, and what can you tell us about the respiratory system in human beings? Let's start with human beings. What can you tell us about that?
Respiratory system is the system that occurs in women where gas exchange occurs.
Okay. Yes, gas exchange. Yes. And what are the gases that are being exchanged?
Oxygen and carbon dioxide.
Oxygen and carbon dioxide. Okay. So can you mention the part of the respiratory system in human beings?
The lungs.
The part of the respiratory system in human beings. Yes, the lungs. Yes.
The nose.
The lungs. Yes. The nose. Yes.
The mouth.
Yes, the mouth. You can take air in through your nose or through your mouth. For example, when an individual has nasal congestion, what we refer to as catarrh, at times your two nostrils might be blocked, at times it could be one. And before you know it, you will find yourself sleeping with your mouth open. You're trying to breathe in air through your mouth because your nose is blocked from nasal congestion. All right, the mouth, the nose, the lungs. We also have the trachea, which the layman's will call the windpipe. We have the bronchi, we have the alveoli, where gestures exchange. Of course. Okay. All right. All right. It makes use of body surface to respire. Can you give me an example of an organism that use their body surface to respire? Can you give it a try out about me? About me, can you give it a try out? Are you there? About me, are you there?
So
What?
are frogs.
Okay. We can say frog. They use their body surface, which is skin and or
Frog.
cutaneous respiration. Okay, our time is fast spent. Yes, frog and toad. Yes, I heard you. Thank you so much, Abawumi, for running us through
Are
a bit of
frogs.
what we did. Yes, yes, I heard you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking us through a bit of what we did in our last class. So today we'll be talking about the excretory system. Hello, Golden. Welcome to class. Golden, please, you need to mute your mic. You need to mute your mic, Golden, okay? Okay, thank you. You're welcome to class, Golden. It's good to have you here. So myself and Abawumi were just going through the things that we talked about in our last class. That's what we're going through together. So I said today we'll be talking about the excretory system. And when I want to talk about the excretory system, we say that the excretory system is a system of organs that is responsible for the removal of waste. Is responsible for the removal of waste products from the body of organisms generally. And an excretory system, the excretory system is responsible for excretion. And when we say excretion, what does excretion mean? It is the process that is involved in the removal of waste products from the body of organisms. Now, we have excretion in higher animals and in lower animals. In lower animals, we have organisms like insects. We have organisms like earthworm. We have organisms like tapeworm, roundworm, in the class of helminths. That's from your classification of living organisms, where we grouped animals into kingdom, phylum, classes, family, other species. Then we have excretion in mammals, higher animals. So first we'll be starting with excretion in earthworm. Please give me a moment. I'm going to share my screen. Give me a moment. Okay, I'm going to. Okay, about me and Golden, if you can see my screen, please drop an emoji. About me and Golden, if you can see my screen, please drop an emoji. Okay, thank you, Golden. About me, can you see my screen also? About me, can you also see my screen? Oh, okay. Oh, okay, that is great. Thank you. Okay. So we'll be starting with the excretory system in earthworms. And the process of excretion in earthworm takes place through the aid of a structure called the nephridia. Singular nephridium, plural nephridia. Now, this nephridia or nephridium is a coiled tubular structure that consists of a ciliated nephridial canal. When you hear the word ciliated, it means it has cilia. Tiny, tiny structures on the surfaces that aids movement, increases surface area, absorption, and the likes. And it opens into the coelom of the earthworm through a structure called the nephrostome, and it opens to the exterior. Now, this nephridia is richly supplied with blood. And because it's richly supplied in blood, Just like the kidneys in human beings is richly supplied in blood, and the kidney filters blood and takes out waste products from the blood. That is just how the nephridia of earthworm is also richly supplied with blood, such that the process of filtration will occur, and substances that needs to be discharged out of the body of the earthworm will be filtrated out. And the excretory fluids that is being excreted in earthworms, for example, is also useful in enabling the moisturizing of their skin. It helps with the moisture. It helps to keep the skin of the earthworm moist for cutaneous respiration. Remember in our last class when we talked about the respiratory system, we said the air, I did mention that the earthworm respires via cutaneous respiration. That is respiration through body surface, their skin. Then we have excretion in insects. Now, excretion in insects is via their Malpighian tubules. These Malpighian tubules, they are blind yellowish cavity that we find in insects. And this Malpighian tubules opens into the alimentary canal. Now, when we're talking about the alimentary canal, remember we've talked about the digestive system. I think that was last week or 2 weeks ago. We talked about the digestive system, and I heard the digestive system is also called the gastrointestinal tract or the alimentary canal in animals. For animals, you can call it the alimentary canal. Now, this Malpighian tubules in insects opens into the alimentary canal. Now, the alimentary canal of insects is divided into guts. We have the foregut, the midgut, and the hindgut. The foregut is at the front, the midgut at the middle, and the hind from the word back, hind at the back. Now we have epithelial cells that lines this structure, and these epithelial cells is responsible for aiding movement of waste in the tubules, in the Malpighian tubules. And each Malpighian tubule has two parts, a proximal part and a distal part. In biology, if you hear the word proximal means towards the front, and the word distal means away. It's at a distance. Now, the Malpighian tube has two parts, a proximal part and a distal part. If you are following, drop me an emoji. If you're following, please drop an emoji. Thank you, Golden. Okay, Obawumi, are you following? I can't see your emoji, Obawumi. Are you not there? Okay, let's go on. I said the Malpighian tubule has two parts, a proximal part and a distal part. Now, the distal part is alkaline in nature and it secretes inorganic substance like uric acid, amino acid, and water to form the primary urine. In insects, we have the primary urine and we have the secondary urine. Now, when the primary urine is formed, it moves to the ileum of the insect. Then nitrogenous waste is converted, and water and other useful substance is also converted, forming the primary urine of the primary urine into the final urine. And through contraction that we call peristaltic contraction, it is moved into the hindgut, where most of the water, inorganic substance, etc., they are reabsorbed, and uric acid is excreted in the insect. Then we have the excretion in platyhelminths, like we have the planarians, like the flatworm, the roundworm, the tapeworm, hookworm, etc. If you remember from your platyhelminths in classification of living things. Now the platyhelminths the platyhelminths with organisms like tapeworm, roundworm, planarians, etc. They excrete via a structure called the flame cell. Please take note. Excretion in earthworm is through a structure called nephridia or nephridium. Excretion in insects is via Malpighian tubules. This is an insect on the screen. We have the foregut the mid gut, and the hind gut. So these yellow structures that looks like projections, they are the cilia that I was talking about. Then in the planarians, the platyhelminths, we have a structure called the flame cell. Now, these flame cells, they are the excretory organs that is present in tapeworms, roundworms, and the likes. And these flame cells also have finger-like substructures called the cilia. This cilia beats continuously and draws water from surrounding tissues, fluids through a process that is called ultrafiltration, and the filtrate is filtered into the excretory duct. Useful substances that are needed are reabsorbed back, and the ones that are not needed are excreted as waste to the exterior through the excretory pores of the insect, of the platyhelminths. So this is how the flame cell looks like in a planarian, tapeworm, roundworm, etc. Then we have the excretory organs in mammals, which is the kidney. This is the kidney. This is the excretory system in human beings. Now, the organ for excretion, for excreting urine in human beings is the urinary system. The urinary system is made up of two kidneys, two ureters, one urinary bladder, and then the urethra, a single urethra. So the excretory system of humans associated with the production of urine is called the urinary system, which I said is made up of two kidneys, the right and left kidneys, two ureters, right and left ureter, one urinary bladder, and one urethra. So the internal structure of a kidney, this is what it looks like. But before we go to the external structure, let's talk about the kidneys generally. Now, the kidneys are reddish brown. If you look at the screen, you see that there are two bean-like structure that look like beans. How many of you know these kidney beans that they use in cooking fried rice? That's just how the kidney looks like. How many of you know that kidney beans? It's now common. People are not using it to cook fried rice now. That's just how the kidney looks like. That color, reddish brown. That's how the kidney looks like. And they have a bean shape. They look like a bean. That is why I was asking. That's why I'm asking you if you've seen that kidney beans they use in cooking fried rice. It looks just like the human kidney. Now, the kidneys, both the right and both kidneys are located at the posterior abdominal wall, just few inches from the waist. So when you say posterior, that is at the back. So if you look at your waist, if you touch your waist upward, going to your back, it's just few inches from your waist. Now, the kidneys has two parts, the outer cortex and the inner medulla. Please give me a moment. Let me show you that. The kidney has the outer cortex and the inner medulla. So this is the inner medulla that we are looking at. Now, the outer cortex of the kidney is the outer reddish brown portion. And then we have the inner part, that is the medulla. The cortex of the kidney is made up of millions of cup-shaped structures that are called nephron. This nephron is the functional unit of the kidney. So if anyone asks you what is the functional unit of the kidney is the nephron. And the medulla consists of the collecting duct, which forms renal pyramids, and which now forms central cavities called the renal pelvis and renal calyces. Then we have the two ureters, which connects the kidney to the urinary bladder. Now, the nephron that I talked about, that I said is the functional unit of the kidneys, what does this nephron look like? The nephrons consist of double-wall cup-shaped structure called the Bowman's capsule. This is what the functional unit of the kidney looks like. I want to show you the Bowman's capsule. Okay, yeah, this is it. If you are following, please drop an emoji. Obawumi and Golden, are you following? Thank you, Obawumi. Thank you, Golden. So this is the cup-shaped capsule that is called the Bowman's capsule. and it's also made up of glomerulus. And the glomerulus is just a knot of capillaries. You know, when we talked about the circulatory system, we talked about blood vessels, and I said there are three blood vessels: artery, veins, and capillaries. So this knot of capillaries is called the glomerulus. And then we also have a long renal tubule. A long renal tubule. The first part of the renal tubule is called the proximal convoluted tubule. And the proximal convoluted tubule continues to descend and form the descending portion. And then we also have the loop of Ehlers. We have the collecting duct. We have the loop of Ehlers and we have the collecting duct. So when blood is taken through the kidney, it goes through processes of filtration, ultrafiltration, selective reabsorption, tubular secretion, and then the formation of urine, which eventually is passed on to the bladder, the urinary bladder, and the urinary bladder goes on and excretes it out. Now, when your bladder is full, what happens? I also like to liken the human bladder to a balloon. You know, when you take a balloon, a deflated balloon, when you take a balloon, what happens when you blow air? The balloons get big, it begins to get bigger. If you blow little air into the balloon, you see the balloon just goes up a bit. The more air you blow into the balloon, the bigger the balloon gets, right? Now, that's just how the urinary bladder is like. As urine is filling up in the balloon, it's in the urinary bladder, it's filling up, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Before you know it, you will start feeling like, oh, I think I need to ease myself. I need to urinate. Why is the bladder getting bigger when urine is filling up there? It's because of a muscle that is called the detrusor muscle. This detrusor muscle is a smooth muscle that aids contraction and relaxation of the urinary bladder. When the urinary bladder is filling up with urine, or when it needs to excrete and push out the urine. So once you get the sensation that, oh, I need to urinate, I need to ease myself, what happens? You get up and you go and relieve yourself. That is why during surgical operations, they always pass something called a urinary catheter along with a urinary bag. Because during surgical operations, one of the medications that is administered as anesthetics to the patient is a muscle relaxant. And take it or leave it. Either you are sleeping, or you are awake, or you are in surgery, your body is still functioning the way it needs to function. So if a patient is in surgery and they've given them a muscle relaxant, urine is continuously being formed, but that patient will not get the urge to urinate. Why? Because the detrusor muscle of the bladder, of the urinary bladder at that moment, will not be functional. Why will it not be functional? Because they've given the patient a muscle relaxant. That is why they pass a urinary catheter into the urethra of either the male patient or the female patient, such that when the patient is in surgery, as urine is filling up in the bladder, it's coming out through that catheter that is like a pipe, and it's coming out and filling up the urinary bag. Then we have excretion in plants. Plants also excrete. Plants also excrete waste products. For example, they give off oxygen after they finish photosynthesizing and they perform the process of photosynthesis. What happens? They give off waste product. What is the waste product that they give off? Oxygen, for example. That oxygen is what we human beings use in the process of our respiration. And the stomata and the lentil cells of the plant, they are responsible for excretion of gases in plants. The water is excreted via transpiration. Carbon dioxide and oxygen is eliminated by diffusion through the stomata and lentil cells. And when we are talking about the process of excretion, the process of excretion is actually a very, very interesting process. Now, when I was talking about the excretory, nephron, I was talking about the proximal convoluted, the glomerulus, proximal convoluted tube in the kidneys, of human beings. Then we have the descending loop of Henle, the loop of Henle, the ascending loop, and the distal tubule. What are their functions? Now, the glomerulus is responsible for filtering solute from the blood. Then it moves to the proximal convoluted tubule, which will absorb ions and water and nutrients and removes toxins. Then from there, it moves to the descending loop of Henle, which allows water to pass from the filtrate into the interstitial fluid. Then it moves to the ascending loop. The ascending loop is the one going back up. There, the absorption of sodium and chlorine from the filtrates into the interstitial fluid occurs, and it moves to the distal convoluted tube, which is responsible for selectively secreting and absorbing different ions. Then it moves to the collecting ducts, which will absorb solute and water from the filtrate, and from there urine is formed. This is what what forms up in the loop of Henle. We also have excretion by exocytosis. This one is common in unicellular organisms. And an example of the unicellular organism is the amoeba. You know, I told you that, okay, who can remind us what a unicellular organism is? Can anybody remind us what a unicellular organism is? What? Does anyone want to give it a try? A unicellular organism. Golden and Obaumi. What's a unicellular organism?
These
Anyone?
organisms have one cells.
Yes, thank you, Golden. So unicellular organisms are organisms that are made up of one cell. It means they want to reproduce, is one cell they have. They want to feed and digest, one cell. They want to excrete, one cell. So a common example of a unicellular organism, we have the amoeba. So when they ingest their food, the food vesicle fuses with the lysosome and digests, and waste product is excreted via exocytosis. Now, in amoeba, we have process there. We have two processes that is involved in their lives, in the process of functioning of their cells. We have endocytosis and exocytosis. Endocytosis from the word endo, it means it is coming in. Exocytosis from the word exo, exiting, it is going out. So endocytosis, it means that organism, the amoeba, is taking in something into their cell. Exocytosis, it means it is pushing out something, it's pushing something out of the cell. Do you get that? If you look at the screen, you see that food particles comes in through endocytosis. And you see there is a place it looks like substances are leaving the cell. That is through exocytosis. Okay. I want to ask a quick question. What is the role of the skin and lungs in the process of excretion in human beings? Can anyone answer that question? What is the role of the skin and lungs in excretion? Anyone give it a try?
The role of this to excrete waste products.
Okay. What waste product does the lung excrete? What waste product does the lung excrete? What did you say about me? What did you say? About me, your voice is breaking. Can you drop a message in the chat box, please? Your voice is breaking. Please drop a message in the chat box. I'll be waiting. Golden, are you there? About me giving us an answer on lungs and excretion. So, Golden, can you give us an answer on skin and excretion? Okay, I'm listening. Thank you.
The skin helps to release sweat.
Okay. And from our sweat, our body is losing is giving off water and is giving off uh
It.
that electrolytes like that's why when you taste your sweat, I mean, if you have tasted your sweat before, maybe consciously or unconsciously, maybe you took the sweat, put it in your mouth and tasted it just to see how it tastes like, or maybe you were sweating profusely and the sweat's coming from your head downwards, enters into your mouth. How did it taste? How did the sweat taste? Anyone? Anyone? How did the sweat taste? Well, for me, it tasted salty. I don't know about yours. Mine tasted salty. It has happened times without number where I'm sweating and probably I'm not with my face towel or something I can wipe my face with. So I'm just trying to like, okay, let's just move on. Let's just move on with the day. Before you know it, the sweat drips, comes to my mouth. I'll be like, wow, my sweat is tasty. It's quite tasty. It was salty anyways. So about me, I'm waiting for lungs and excretion. About me, are you there? Okay, I think about me is not there. So maybe when she's back, we'll be able to go through the topic again. So for this class, okay, about me, you're back. Thank
The
you.
lung excrete carbon dioxide.
Okay, the lung excretes carbon dioxide. Yes, thank you. Thank you for that about me, the lung excretes carbon dioxide. So do you have any question on this topic that we've done today? Does anybody have any question? Do you have any question? Anybody? Anyone? Okay, about me, do you have a question? I can see your mic is not muted. You can unmute your mic. Unmute your mic.
I have a
Okay, yes,
question.
about okay, go.
You said that elementary canal
Okay.
is
About me, I
diabetes.
can no longer hear you. About me, your voice is breaking, so I'm not getting your question. About me, your voice is breaking. I'm not getting your question. Can you type it in the chat box? About me, can you type your question in the chat box instead?
You said that elementary
About me, I'm really finding it difficult to hear you. I can no longer hear you now. Right now, I'm not even hearing anything. About me, can you drop your message in the chat box? Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize. I lost signal for a bit. I apologize for that. I lost signal here for a second. Okay, about me is not here. Okay, Golden. Golden, you can unmute your mic. Golden, can you unmute your mic? It's time for the
Mic is
interactive
on mute.
session, questions and answer, and we're reviewing of what we've done so far. Golden, are you there?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, thank you, Golden. All right, so in our previous classes, we've talked about reproductive systems in humans, reproductive behaviors and genetics, variation, evolution, digestive system, transport system, respiratory system, and today excretory system. I'm Golden. Have you listened to the recorded sessions of the classes that you missed?
No,
Golden, did you listen to the recorded sessions of the classes you missed?
I've not listened to them.
Yes, I know your mic is on mute. He's not muted. I'm asking you a question. Golden, you can leave your mic unmuted.
It's unmuted. It's unmuted.
Okay. Yes, yes. I was asking you if you've been able to listen to the recorded sessions of the classes that.
No, ma'am. I've not listened to them.
Okay. I was going to ask you if you have any question from the previous topic, but you've not listened to the recorded session. So, but so far, for all of the classes you've attended, do you have any questions, Golden?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you're telling me that if I ask you questions, you'll be able to answer.
Yes.
Okay, we'll soon get there. About me. About me, please unmute your mic. About me, your hand is raised. Okay, I'm listening to your question. Unmute your mic and speak about me.
My question is elementary canal is divided into what?
For God, meet God, and int God for Ania for lower mouth. For go the stomach. Do you get it?
I did not get it. Repeat it again, ma.
About me. Okay, I said for lower animals, we have the foreguards, the midguards, the hindguards. For higher animals, or should I say for mammals, sorry. For mammals, we have, it starts from the mouth to the pharynx, to the esophagus, to the stomach, to the small intestine, the large intestine, the rectum, and the anal canal. Do you get it now?
Yes, ma.
Okay. Okay. So I have just two students in class for today, Obawumi and Golden. Okay, thank you for showing up. Okay, let me see if the attendance. Okay, so I'm going to ask questions from the assignment that I gave you. I was told you people couldn't access the assignments. Okay, let's do one. Okay. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. All right, so I'm going to be asking questions now. The theory of natural selection was proposed by who? William Mendel, Charles Darwin, Lamarck. Who proposed the theory of natural selection? From the topic we did, evolution. About me, your hand is still raised up. Do you have a question? About me, your hand is still raised up. Do you have a question? Oh, okay.
No,
You can put down your hand then. You can put down your hand then. So I was asking a question from the topic that we did, theory evolution. So I asked that the theory of natural selection. Who proposed the theory of natural selection?
Charles Darwin.
Okay, Charles Darwin. Thank you. Okay, what is mutation? What is the meaning of mutation?
Mutation is a random change that occurs in animals.
Mutation is
The
a random change that occurs. Okay, go on, go on.
that occurs in organisms from one generation to generation.
It can be transferred. Mutation is a change that occurs in an organism that can be transferred from one generation to another generation. What is the meaning of evolution itself? Evolution, what does it mean? What does evolution mean? Anyone? What does evolution mean? Okay, about me, I can see you're thinking. What does evolution mean? Okay. Anyone? Golden. Golden, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Golden, do you want to bail us out on the meaning of evolution? You can give it a trial.
Consider that evolution is change of an organism with time or with generations from generation.
Okay, okay, all right, that's good. All right. The union of a male, let's move to reproduction now. The union of a male and female gamete is called what? The union of a male and female gamete is called what? The union of a male and female gamete is called what? Anyone? When the gamete of a male fuses with that of a female, what is it called? Anyone? Okay, shall I give you options?
Zygote.
What is formed is a zygote. That process is called fertilization. So the union of a male and female gamete is called fertilization. The process is called fertilization, and the resulting organism is called a zygote. Thank you for that, Obawumi. Okay. Where does fertilization occur in human beings? Where does fertilization occur? Anyone? Where does fertilization occur?
In the womb.
Yeah, it occurs, it takes place in the womb, in the uterus. What parts? What parts? Okay, mention the reproductive parts, the reproductive organs in females. Let's start from there. Mention the reproductive organs in females, in a female mammal.
Uterus.
Yes,
Vagina.
yes,
Ovary.
yes.
Fallopian tube.
Okay, fallopian tube, yes. Okay, so where,
That
what part of this organ you've mentioned, what part of this organ does fertilization occur?
okay, it's
What you
uterus.
say? What?
Uterus.
No, it takes place
Uterus.
in the fallopian. It takes place in the fallopian tube, not in the uterus. The uterus is where the zygote goes and implants itself and starts growing. Where the fertilization takes place is in the fallopian tube, specifically the ampulla of the fallopian tube. So when fertilization has taken place and a zygote is now formed, the zygote now moves into the uterus, the womb, and implants itself and starts growing. That is why ectopic pregnancy is a problem, because in ectopic pregnancy, once fertilization occurs, the zygote is supposed to move to the womb, the uterus, but it doesn't move. It stays in the fallopian tube and causes a condition called ectopic pregnancy. So that is why ectopic pregnancy is a thing. Okay. Where is sperm produced in a male mammal? Where is sperm produced in a male mammal?
The testes.
The testes, thank you. Thank you for that. Testes. Which hormone is responsible for the development of male secondary sexual characteristics?
God, how
Anyone?
can I pronounce it?
Okay, spell it if you can't pronounce it. Okay, you can spell
Yeah.
it. Spell it if you can't pronounce it. Spell it, you can spell it. Or you can drop it in the chat box. You can spell it in the chat box. Let's see. Spell it in the chat box about me. Let's see. About me, are you there? Hello, about me. Okay, I guess about me is not there. Okay. Okay. No, no. It's the testosterone. The testosterone is responsible for development of male secondary sexual characteristics. The pituitary gland is an organ. Oh, thank you, Golden. Thank you, Golden. Is testosterone. About me is testosterone. That is what is responsible for male secondary development of male secondary sexual characteristics, masculinization. where you hear the boy that when he was in GSS 1 or GSS 2, his voice sounds like that of a girl. All of a sudden in SS2 and SS3, the voice is sounding like, okay, this sounds mature. And you see him developing beards, you see him having hair around his armpits, his pubic region, and also there will be enlargement of scrotum and the penis. So that happens. All right, so does anybody have any question? Golden, do you have question? About me, do you have question? Because I believe it is going to be our last contact until we meet again. Do you have any question? Golden and about me, any question? About me, that was a funny emoji. Okay, Golden and about me, do you have questions? Okay, in the absence of questions, then we bring this class to a close until we meet again. So it's nice meeting you, Golden and about me. Thank you for attending today's class. So I hope and I wish you best of luck. And my advice to you is keep reading your books, okay? If you don't learn, you won't know. The more you learn, the more you know, okay? So do well to continue learning. Learning is a continuous process. Never stop learning. I know because I was taught and I learned. I learned it also. I didn't just keep my books after my teachers finished teaching me. I didn't. I kept on reading and reading and reading until I got everything. So that is how I'm here today. So you can do the same thing, okay? So I wish you the best until we meet again. Enjoy. Have a nice time. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I wish you success in your exams.